Good morning, everybody. Hope we're doing really good today. Welcome back to the channel. Got our third stimmy check coming, and this one's big. It's really big. It's $1,400 big. And we got our first two stimmy checks is $600 a piece, but now we got $1,400 coming in our pockets. And I know there's like a bunch of other things that are in the bill, but like I don't have kids. There's like child credit stuff, and there's like unemployment stuff, and all this other stuff that's in this bill. But I'm just, as far as it affects me, I get the $1,400 check, and that's about it. So that's all I've really been paying attention to, and that's what this video is about. What I'm gonna do with my stimulus check, how I'm gonna spend, how I'm gonna invest this $1,400 to get the best possible return for my money. Now there's kind of these guidelines that we usually follow in like personal finance if we get a little extra money. And first thing we do, or one of the first priorities, is to, start your savings or start your emergency fund. If you don't have money set aside, you need to start building up your emergency fund. And if anybody, if anybody doesn't have an emergency fund set up already, they get this $1,400, may be a good idea for you just to save this money. Because things go wrong, they can go wrong, and they do go wrong. Like my laptop, I could drop it and break it, and then I need to buy a new laptop. Or I could spill my coffee on it, and I need to buy a new laptop. And actually, I am a little bit worried about my laptop, because sometimes the screen flicks off and on. And it's got me a little nervous. I'm just worried that one day the screen's gonna flick off and never come back on again. So that's got me a little worried, but good news, I already have like money set aside. I have an emergency fund set up already, and if something does go wrong, I do have money set aside that I can, I'll be okay, and I'll be able to buy a new laptop or get myself through whatever situation comes up. Since I already got an emergency fund set up, next thing we would probably do is I'd probably have to pay off some credit card debt. Credit card debt would run like 20% interest. And you're not going to beat that. There's no way that you're going to beat like 20% interest in the stock market, not reliably. So best bang for your buck would probably be paying off that credit card interest or your credit card balance. But good news for me there too, I already have my credit cards paid off. I do have some monthly bills that I keep on my credit cards to keep my spending on there and stuff, but it's in my budget, and it's like few small bills that I have on a monthly basis that I put on there, and I just pay them off at the end of every month. Another thing, since I don't have a credit card, I would look at spending or paying off a car payment. But good news, I don't have a car payment either. After the car payment, we'd probably look at my student loans. And student loans can be a little different because they're usually like really big, and they last for a long time, and they have a low interest rate. So it may not be like a really big priority to pay off your student loans. And they're also in like different tranches. You can have like 4 different payments due a month. But can be a good thing, because then you can pay it off in chunks. And maybe, you're close to paying off one of these loans, in that $1,400, it could like just wipe out one of the smaller debts, one of the smaller loans, and then instead of having 4 monthly payments on your loans, you'd have 3 monthly payment loans, and that would save you that little bit of a headache. Then when we're done building our emergency savings account and then are paying off all our debts, then we'd start investing, and we could put our money into the S&P 500 ETF, an index fund like SDY or VOO, get a tiny like 2% yield, and the S&P 500, it will return something like 8 to 12% a year depending on your time frame and stuff like that. Does feel like the market's a little bit high, so you may not get that 12%. But who knows when or if the stock market's going to crash, but that would be an option. Oh, speaking of options, we could also take our $1,400 and put it into our options account. And I mean, maybe you get like 20% return selling puts and calls. I wouldn't recommend buying puts and calls because you tend to lose money that way. But selling puts and calls is a lot less risky of a way to make money in options. And you could get really good yield and returns on that. Like maybe 20% a year. I don't know if that's sustainable or not, but you could definitely get that for the time being with high volatility in some of these higher vol stocks like Palantir, Snapchat, and things like that. But I think I can do better than that. I think I could do better than the S&P 500, and I think I could do better than selling puts and calls. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reinvest this money into my business. And I think by reinvesting into my business, you can multiply your money. You can maybe tenfold it. You can make a lot more return by reinvesting into your own business. And that's a common critique that people have with dividend investing. It's that people say that dividends are a waste of money because the company could be using it in better ways to expand and innovate in R&D and CapEx, that they'd get more of a return with that dividend money than you would get as a dividend investor. You would get your like 3.5% yield, but if the company kept it, reinvested it, it'd be like 6% or, I don't know, whatever you do, they would be able to get more than that yield. And I think you extrapolate this to a smaller level, that money, that multiplier effect, it gets bigger. Like if you have like just a little coffee shop and you take money, you reinvest it into that coffee shop, and you could set up a smoothie machine and then sell smoothies. So now you're selling coffee and smoothies. Then you could buy a little counter thing and sell the cakes and cookies, make money that way, and then start up like a Facebook ad campaign and get more customers in the door that way. And that money would be much better spent and get much better returns, like multiplied. Your money would be multiplied on a yearly basis versus, just putting that money in the S&P 500. But what business do you have, you might ask? Well, my business is this YouTube channel. And hopefully you would have noticed by those little ads that popped up at the beginning of the video. Now, I don't know if I'd call it a real business. I've only been monetized for like 2 weeks now. But, it's the idea that I've got it going, and I got that little sprout, I got that little green sprout popping up, and I got to keep watering it and feeding it and, making sure it grows into a big old money tree. And, it's the social media thing where I think so much of the world is social media related now. There's so much opportunity that you can, so much opportunity in the social media space, being YouTube or TikTok or all this other stuff, that like one of the best investments you can make with like $1,000 or $1,400 would be a camera. So that kind of leaves me with like, I don't need to invest in a new camera or new lenses because like I don't have the skills or the know-how to take advantage of all the extra features like a better camera has. So one thing that I do, the thing I do think that would bring me the most return for my money is regarding the channel is a new video editing desktop. There's plenty of times where I want to add little graphics and stuff to my videos, and I'll import it and I'll work on it, but my laptop will kind of jam up and it's not able to process it, and it slows down and it has a really hard time once you start adding little extra things to the video timeline. $1,400 is a good range for a solid video editing desktop. I did the research. I know that, I know for what I want, in my abilities and how much I can learn and all that stuff, that's a good range for what I could do, and it's got enough room for me to grow into and not get too upset about things taking a long time to process and stuff like that. And it could quicken up my editing process. Some of the stuff like importing and exporting, things like that would go much faster. I did put a lot of thought into this. There's nothing I really need, and I do think that a laptop or a desktop, a video editing desktop would do me a lot of good. I'd be really happy with that. I would use it, and I would get real benefit out of it, and it would be worth its money. And then I would get returns by making better videos, getting better watch time, more subscriptions and views and all that stuff. And hopefully it'd pay for itself relatively soon, hopefully within the first year. I think so. So that I think I could definitely get my money's worth, and I would get more return from the video editing desktop than anything else. With that being said, go ahead, leave a comment down below. What are you doing? How are you gonna spend or invest your $1,400 third stimulus check now? If you're still watching, go ahead, give me a like. That'd really be appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Then I want you to go have a good day. All right, Justin out.